So basically, what ended up happening was the Boston Celtics were looking at their potential list of who they can select with the number 1 pick. And they worked out Markelle Fultz. Now, Lonzo Ball, he did not want to work out with the Boston Celtics because he still wants to be a Laker. We will get more into Lonzo Ball a little bit later. However, Markelle Fultz really impressed the Boston Celtics. However, the Celtics already realized something. They said, look, we really like this kid, but we already got Isaiah Thomas, who's already a developed all-star, who's already a guy who's been our number 1 in this franchise. Do we really need another point guard? And I think Boston was looking at this and saying, you know what? We don't need this guy. This guy may be great, he may be an all-star, but we may not need him. He may be more valuable in a trade rather than us going out and actually drafting him and maybe potentially wasting him as a player. So I think Boston's looking at this and they're like, you know what? We will trade down with the Philadelphia 76ers. And Philadelphia probably was like, you know what? We need a point guard. We need a guy who can we haven't had a point guard in years, and this guy, Markelle Fultz, will be a great fit for us. So they talked to Boston, and they were like, you know what? We want Markelle Fultz. We want to draft him. Can you give us the number 1 overall pick so we can select Markelle Fultz? The Celtics were like, okay, you're drafting Markelle Fultz. Okay. Does that mean that you are not going to draft Josh Jackson? Because the Celtics are interested in Josh Jackson. And the Philadelphia 76ers said no. So Boston's like, okay, we'll give you the number 1 pick, but we want another pick coming back to us. We want another future asset coming back. So the Sixers like, okay, we'll give you that. If for our franchise point guard, we will give you that. Now, so either the Celtics will receive the Lakers 2018 pick. If the pick falls between number 2 and number 5, it will go to Boston. However, if it falls outside of that, the pick will go back to Philadelphia. So, and then instead, the Celtics will get the Sacramento Kings 2019 first rounder. And yeah, basically, there's 2 sides to this. Number 1, the Sixers. The Sixers basically won this trade here, in my opinion. They needed a point guard. They need someone to lead their franchise. Who better than get the number 1 prospect in this draft? Probably the guy with the biggest upside, the biggest potential, the biggest guy to have the most impact in his first season, in Markelle Fultz. Honestly, Philadelphia's lineup with Markelle Fultz is going to be really scary. Think about it. Markelle Fultz at point guard. You got Gerald Henderson or Nick Stauskas at shooting guard. Ben Simmons at small forward. You got Dario Saric on power forward and Joel Embiid at center. Off the bench, you got Jaleel Okafor. Off the bench, you got Sergio Rodriguez. You got freaking I don't even know half the guys, man. Like just looking at the Sixers, looking at the raw talent on the Sixers. This is honestly the most excited anybody has been for the Philadelphia 76ers. This team, the process Sam Hinkie had introduced, this is what it is. This is the embodiment of what the process is. And we know Joel Embiid says trust the process. This is why you trust the process, because this is what true tanking is. You tank for years and years and years until finally you get number 1 draft picks, you get the pure talent, and you create a dynasty through the draft. And this was the plan of Sam Hinkie, and it's now in fruition. And honestly, I am so happy for Philadelphia, because this is the exact guy they need to complete their process. They need Markelle Fultz to complete this. The Sixers are gonna be scary, man. They are gonna be a really good team, especially within the next few years when they actually start gaining more experience and gelling as a team. Whew. Things are finally looking up in Philadelphia. The dark cloud that's shrouded Philadelphia for years is finally gonna lift, and you're gonna see some sunshine in Philadelphia. I'm no meteorologist, but you can put some money on that. As for the Boston Celtics, now on one hand, I can see where they would like the number 3 pick, but on the other hand, I don't understand. Now, on the one hand, I do understand it, is that maybe in the case that they don't get a Jimmy Butler, or they don't get a Gordon Hayward, they may just end up settling for Josh Jackson, who is, again, a really good prospect. Josh Jackson is so damn good. He's a stud defensively. He's a guy who can also develop into a really good offensive player and be one of the premier two-way players in the NBA. You know, so he's a very good player for Boston to pick up, especially because he can play with Isaiah Thomas and he can come in and fill a void for the Celtics at small forward. However, what I don't understand, and I still don't get this, I've said this when they had the number 1 pick. Why are you hoarding all these picks? I see Danny Ainge. I know what he's doing. He's trying to, ramble up assets. He's trying to get teams interested. But what are you doing? Why are you not cashing this in? Yeah, you got a lot of money in the bank, but you gotta spend a little bit, to actually benefit you. And I think instead of drafting Josh Jackson, I think the best move for the Celtics is to trade the number 3 pick. I would say trade it either to Indiana, who Paul George is leaving. That, by the way, I wasn't gonna report that in this one because it was already figured out. But Paul George wants to leave the Pacers. You can trade the number 3 pick and a few future young players and stuff to the Pacers for Paul George and get him onto the Celtics. Or you can go out, trade with the Chicago Bulls, who are looking to rebuild, and get Jimmy Butler. The Celtics have so many options. Now, if I had to compare, who would I rather want? The raw Josh Jackson, who has a lot of question marks surrounding him, who we don't know how good he's going to be yet in the professional level? Or would I take Paul George or Jimmy Butler? Multiple-time All-Stars, two-way studs, proven NBA superstars in their prime of their careers. I don't know about you, but I think I would take either Paul George or Jimmy Butler because that is the best value for my money. And I'm a guy who values money, man. So that's the whole situation. I think Boston should go for this. But overall, I think this was a great trade. I think both sides have a lot of options they can choose from. I'm really happy for Philadelphia getting the number 1 pick and getting Markelle Fultz. And I'm also happy that Boston is finally, considering just making moves. Just Boston staying relevant. Danny Ainge is a really smart general manager. And I'm really excited for draft night. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen, where these prospects are going to end up, and when things are going to, take shape, man.